Three things that you don't really need when soundproofing a room, and a lot of people seems to think that you do need that or need to do that if you're looking soundproof a room in your home or in your apartment, because whether you're doing it in a home that you actually own or you're doing it into a rental, there's different ways to do it. The first thing, and I won't waste too much time on this one, is you don't need to be an expert. You can do it DIY. Just by watching some of my videos, some of other people's videos on YouTube, you can do it DIY. It's not that complicated to soundproof a room, especially if you're doing it to soundproof a room in an apartment. Yeah, it's not that complicated because you can't make that many changes. But there are ways, there are things that you can do that is quite easy. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be a contractor or anything. But one good thing, however, if you do want to hire a contractor, hire somebody to do the soundproofing work, and it's not really a soundproofing company, you can still find all the information on my channel and just tell them what you want done. Now, let's move on from that one because that one was easy. Let's go into another room. One thing that you don't need to do is remove it. You don't need to remove the drywall to successfully soundproof a room. Now, of course, there are different reasons why you want to soundproof a room. If you're soundproofing it because you have noisy neighbors and you just want to drown out some of that noise or traffic noise, you don't need to remove all of the drywall and add sound deadening or soundproofing insulation in the wall to make it successful. Especially if it's an outside wall, because typically an outside wall you'll already have some type of insulation. If you already have the regular pink insulation, fiberglass, you don't need to replace it with sound deadening or soundproofing insulation because it's not going to make that much of a difference if you already have insulation. Usually where it makes the most difference is if you don't have any insulation in a room inside your house that's between rooms. There you might want to add some insulation, but you still don't need to do it to soundproof a wall. You can keep the insulation that's already there, and all you need to do is add on top of the drywall that's already there. If you already have drywall, you don't need to rip it out, as I said. And this is the easiest way to do it, and it still being very effective, is to add mass. When soundproofing a room, you want to add mass. You want to add more mass onto the wall that will stop those sound waves, and by doing that, you'll add another layer of drywall. So instead of ripping out the layer of drywall you already have, just add another layer of drywall, preferably 5/8 inch drywall because it is a little bit thicker than the 1/2 inch drywall and it's not that much more expensive and it will stop more noise than your typical 1/2 inch drywall. What you want to add in between the two layers of drywall is a product called mass loaded vinyl. Now mass loaded vinyl, it's not cheap, but it is effective at blocking noise coming from room to room. It is a rubbery type material and it comes in a roll. The thing is, the bigger the roll, the cheaper you'll have to pay. However, a big roll could weigh 200-300 pounds. So be careful. If you don't have help, just buy a smaller amount. But also, if you only have one wall to do, it's not a bad idea to add some mass loaded vinyl because what this does, it will block noise, but it will also absorb a little bit of the noise because it is a rubbery type substance that will absorb vibrational noise and absorb a little bit of the noise coming through the room. Because if you need to soundproof a room because there's a band playing on the other side of the wall, adding an extra layer of drywall and mass loaded vinyl, it's not going to make that much of a difference because you want to get rid of all that vibrational noise. So that's more for another video. But for the 95% of people that are looking to soundproof a wall, soundproof a room, then yeah, you don't need to rip out that drywall. Just add another layer, add something in between. You can also add something called acoustical compound. Now, I used to recommend a lot of this stuff like green glue acoustical compound, but the reason why I don't really recommend it too much, it's not because it doesn't work that well. The reason is because it's very expensive for the type of results that you get. I wouldn't be that impressed with the results if I have to pay about $30 per tube and you need 2 tubes per layer of drywall. There is an alternative that you can use, which is carpet glue, but personally I would just skip that process and add mass loaded vinyl in between your 2 layers of drywall and you should be good to go. Now the third thing that you don't really need is, well, let's just move this camera again. Yeah, right there. You see this? Now these are acoustic panels and these are acoustic foam. Now a lot of people online will tell you that you can soundproof a room using acoustic foam and acoustic panels. Now, this is for the very, very slim minority of people that really wants to drown out the noise that they are making. Now, for example, if you're a gamer and the people on the outside of the room wants to hear a little bit less of you, coating the room, filling up the room with acoustic foam, now that is going to deaden the sound at a point where maybe the people on the other side of the wall won't hear you as much. So that is a way to soundproof a room. But for the other 95% of you wanting to soundproof a wall or wanting to soundproof a room, acoustic foam is not going to stop the noise on the other side of the room from coming into your room. It's not going to make enough of a difference for you to notice, and paying hundreds of dollars for acoustic panels and some acoustic foam to make your room sound better is not going to stop the noise outside the room from coming inside your rooms. So don't waste your money. Just invest in mass if you want to soundproof a wall to drown out people from the other side of the room. Now, if you want to keep going and you want to learn what you do need to soundproof a room and you actually want to keep it on budget or under budget preferably, the video right there will show you exactly how to do it and how to do it right. Now, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video, assuming that you subscribed.